G'day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome into both the Australia's Tabletop Wargaming Network and the Pantheon Studios on YouTube for the preview of the Pantheon GT that is coming up this coming weekend. And we've got Jay, the TO, that we're chatting with today from Pantheon Studios. How you doing, mate?
I'm very, very good. And I'll say that with a grain of salt because unfortunately it's been a couple of sleepless nights for me. Had to drop second day of Moab yesterday because I woke up and couldn't turn my head. Service injuries are the gift that keep on giving. But with all of that said, I woke up invigorated to go and have this chat, start getting some things done because it is heating up in the lead up to this GT.
100%.
It is very exciting and anxiety inducing, but...
Oh, yeah. As it always is with tournaments, I find. So for a brief rundown for today, ladies and gentlemen, what we are going to be talking about, and I'm just going to move my screen over so it's not covering over the thing because it's happening on my end too. We are going to be talking about the Players Pack. We're going to, of course, do a brief introduction for ourselves as well. Players Pack, missions, terrain, the meta with the top factions, looking at stat check as well. And all the fun stuff. So, Jay, why don't you give us a brief introduction about yourself? Just brief. We've had you on before, but yeah, give an intro for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. It's good of you to curtail me in because I am a talker. I'm like an Ent from the Lord of the Rings. I don't believe anything worth saying doesn't take a long time to say. But hi, my name is Jay. I've been playing competitive 40k for about a year and a half now. Main Tower's my primary faction, though I also do dabble in Votan and Grey Knights. I have a YouTube channel and an amazing community built around that. I do coaching for competitive 40k. And am just dipping my toes into running events, which I'll be looking at doing much more in the future because I'm actually really enjoying this. So, that is me. What about yourself, Scotty?
So, for those who don't know, my name's ScottyD. I am the guy behind the Australia's Tabletop Wargaming Network, doing hobbying streams, commission painting, coaching as well, funnily enough, for more local guys here in Canberra, but also focusing more on Marines and Necrons, primarily, as those are the factions that I play personally. But then also, doing the tournament coverage, heading to events. We've got our team in New South Wales at the moment that does tournament coverage as well as looking to build up a Queensland team next year as well to start covering some events up that way.
Very nice.
Yeah, so should be good. But yeah, I play, as I mentioned, play Marines, Deathwatch and Necrons as my armies for playing 40k, and yeah, been a TO for a while as well, so definitely know the pleasure and the pain of being a TO is the only way I could put it.
It definitely is. It definitely is because there's always something with organizing an event that has to go wrong.
Yes.
Just nothing is ever smooth.
No, never is. So you always are having to make sure that it's all running smoothly and set up properly and such as well. So you got to do the best you can in those circumstances, and just go from there.
Yeah.
So, last time when we had you on, Jay, we did a bit more of a discussion around, the balanced data slate, kind of the peripherals of the tournament. Now, a week out, we've got list submission, we've got the meta, we've got a lot more information as well about this balanced data slate. So, it's going to be good to jump in to the nitty-gritty for the tournament for those who are keen to see it. So, we're actually going to be starting off by looking at the Players Pack. Kind of covering off things like round time, sportsmanship, codes of conduct, prizes, etc. as well. So I'm going to pull that up on screen for everyone in chat. I want to thank everyone who is joining us on chat. I forgot to mention this at the start, but if you are joining us live, we do these on the ATWN's Twitch channel, or if you're joining with Jay over on the Pantheon Studios YouTube, which is going to be available pretty much straight away afterwards on that side as well. Yes, and then on the ATWN, it'll be up later this week for this one. So we are going to jump over to having a look at the Players Pack for the event. And if I can pull that up properly.
Now I've got it up on my side, and for everybody, we won't go through point for point because that'll probably be a bit laborious. But there are a few key things that I want to sort of go through to really highlight within the event. And one of the things that you brought up, Scotty, is the sportsmanship awards and everything else. I'm going to tell you a little bit of a story, Scotty. Not going to go into strenuous detail because I think that it might be a forum for another time.
Mm-hmm.
In my first year of competitive play, I had 3 major incidents of playing against people who, let's call them less than nice individuals. One of the biggest was an individual who couldn't understand the difference between within and wholly within, and took it so badly, me trying to explain that after the event, followed me to my car.
Wow.
And, I'm not worried about somebody doing that. Like, I'm an Afghanistan veteran. There are not a lot of people on the planet that will particularly make me worry about what they're going to do to me. But I worried about what to do in that situation because I don't want to get banned from the circuit. I don't want to hurt the guy. And I couldn't get them to leave me alone. And I came away from that just sort of really, really hating that was something that I had to do for this simple game where we get together to have a bit of fun, roll some dice, and, meet some people.
Yeah.
And so I have actually put my money where my mouth is on the thing that I hold near and dear to me, which is sportsmanship. We have a good couple of $100 dedicated to sportsmanship alone within the event. So you show up and you're a decent human being, there is a good chance you walk away with some free stuff.
Yeah.
And I've also put a little bit of that in the players pack, as well as some other things. So is there anywhere in particular you would like to start, Scotty?
So I guess whilst we're talking about sportsmanship, why don't we discuss the sportsmanship conduct part that you've got in the players pack?
Yep, absolutely. So let's head down to that. So I will be having the card system in effect, yellow and reds. Yellow is that you will get docked for the game that you are playing and you will have an official warning. Red card is that your game just stops, you lose that game, and depending on the severity of getting handed a red, you may be removed from the tournament. Now, that is something that I, as a TO and just as a human being myself, I don't ever want to get to that point. But unfortunately, it is something that not everybody responds to the carrot. Sometimes people only respond to the stick. And unfortunately, that is an outcome that you have to prepare yourself for.
Yeah.
And this will go to bad attitude, bad sportsmanship. They will have their own sort of category of detriment to the player that does that. Instances of verbal abuse and physical abuse will be taken very, very seriously.
Yeah.
To my mind, there is never an explainable reason why somebody is able to, let's just go with verbally abuse their opponent. That to me is an enormous, enormous faux pas that nobody has a good reason to do.
Yeah, 100%. 100% agree.
So if it gets to the point of, and I actually put in here, not under no circumstances touch another person, their models, or their equipment without their express permission. This one I also wanted to put in because there are just certain instances where, not everybody feels the same about things like personal space and whatever else. And I've had instances where people have touched my dice, grabbed my tape measure out of my hand or whatever else. And I've had to kind of pull them up and be like, hey man, ask me before you do that stuff. And I'm always very careful. I will, even against an opponent that I'm having just the most awesome game against, we're getting on like a house on fire. If there's something so that they don't have to reach over the table, I'm like, hey, do you mind if I just pick this up and move this?
Yeah.
Or if somebody's sharing my dice tray, I'll be like, hey, do you mind if I pick up these dice and chuck them out? Because I want to make sure that that person is okay with me touching anything of theirs, because personal property is important. So I really made a point to put that stuff in. And just a little sort of agreement for players here: by coming to this event, you agree to hold yourself to a high standard of sportsmanship and fair play, which is so important to me.
Yeah, definitely agree. You know, common courtesy is a thing. And I think just in general, to look a bit more broadly, it is being lost in society. Just so to have it be emphasized in a player's pack that it is expected of players to, you know, ask before you touch something of your opponent's, just to be certain of it, you know, is a good standard to set, in my opinion, personally. Even if, you know, you have a bit of a conversation at the start of the game and go, hey, is there anything you don't like me doing in this regard? Like, do you not like me touching your dice? Do you not like me touching your models, etc., etc.? And then that way you can kind of set the standard at the start of the game, rather than going, okay, I'm halfway into the game and now I've got to navigate that.
Yes.
So it's a bit of a conversation to have at the start of the game rather than at some point through it.
Yep. And it's, I think from my part, like, I know that everybody has their own way of running events or doing things or whatever else. For any of the events that I run, I want to say this at the outset, because I know that there are a lot of people who are uncomfortable with walking into something that could potentially be a confrontation. Now, I thrive on that shit, but not everybody has my background or my personality. And so as the TO, I definitely want to take it on myself to be a voice for those people that maybe aren't so great with standing up against people that could have strong personalities or might get taken aback by certain things.
Yeah.
And really making sure that, you know, there is a standard set before the game, so that those people, you know, that maybe don't like going into those situations can have something to go, hey, look, the TO said this and you haven't gone against it. Or they can chuck their hand up and be like, hey, Jay, come over here. This just happened. Let me handle it. Having that, I think, really helps a lot of people with varying comfortabilities and personalities.
Yeah, 100% agree. So then next up, I think let's look at round times is probably where I'd like to hit next. So we're looking at 3-hour rounds.
Yes. Now, one thing, as of speaking to the venue, the start time is already incorrect. 9 o'clock, we are able to get there, but because of access issues the day before, I don't have access to the room because they've got an event going late. So essentially, I'm going to get there and I'm going to be furiously setting up terrain as we start. So round one will likely start at about 10 o'clock. So back 30 minutes, which shouldn't affect too much. And if I need to, I can shave the rounds. When I was working this out with the guy who has helped me so much through this, Alex Englezos, we were wanting to be pretty lenient, but knowing that we can still shave some time, because that 3-hour round was to account for people checking their terrain, setting up the mission, chatting to their opponent about their lists, and having a good, 2.5 hours of actual play time. Not 2.5 hours including all that other ancillary stuff.
Yeah.
So I will be making an announcement about this for anybody who follows socials, is on the group page. I will harass all of the major teams in New South Wales. I'm in most of their chats. So start time will be officially 10 o'clock on both days.
Okay, cool. Good to know. But yeah, to have that extra time to play with as well, even if you shave it down to 2 hours 45 per round, it still gives people 15 minutes to make sure, get objectives set up for the mission, make sure terrain's all in the right spot where it's meant to, run through lists, do all the pre-game stuff, and then, get 15 minutes per turn per player. Ideally, some players will be using chess clocks if they choose to. An hour 15 each, gives you 15 minutes a turn. So should be plenty of time to get through your games, in my opinion, which is great.
We all know how it goes. Like you find out your pairings, you got to work out what your table numbers are. People are bumping into each other, getting up there. Stuff always happens during tournaments. So I really feel like having some grace period time to get there. And then, you could pair in somebody who goes, hey, Necrons is one of my factions. I know everything you're about to do, just hit me with the bullet points. They will get more quality time in the game than somebody who's like, oh man, this is my first GT. I don't know what Necrons do, and they can have at least a little bit of a chat and still get quality game time in, which is super important.
Yeah, 100% agree. 100% agree. So, I reckon if I'm going to be pulling this up properly, because I should have it set up properly, but it doesn't seem to have done it, which is so stupid. I am just trying to find where I've got the image docs for all the prizes.
Yes. Now I'll match you on that because I've got mine good to go. Super professional. That didn't start the stream muted with you completely off. That absolutely didn't happen. It's weird that you brought it up, but and while Scotty's doing that, actually, hello to my chat, which I haven't been able to interact with all that much. Zero catching his first live stream. Welcome, Loopy. You haven't missed too much, to be honest. I think we're only going for about 15 minutes before you showed up. So picked a good time, but welcome to everybody from my chats. Welcome to everybody from Scotty. It is awesome to have you guys here.
Yeah, it definitely is, guys. Definitely is. All right. I'm not sure why I'm not going to be able to bring it up. Maybe if it's because of that there. All right. I'm just going to I've got the images up. I just, for sake of brevity, I won't bring them up on stream, but we can definitely chat about them.
Mm-hmm.
So let's start off with the wooden spoons.
let me go to that image. Because unfortunately I brought up all of them and some of the images are not to be released just yet. So where is my... Okay, there we go. Wooden Spoon Award.
Okay.
Now, this one... So, I've had a bunch of people reach out that this is going to be their first GT. I've also got a couple of people that are interested in the tournament circuit that are just showing up as spectators. And I remember what that feeling was like. Walking in knowing nothing about what you were getting into. And so, I wanted to throw a decent amount at... not any of the, like hard monetary support or anything else, but just something for people that are going to show up, have a good time. They're not super competitive just yet, but I want them to walk away still feeling great, even if they get absolutely pummeled for the entire thing.
Yeah.
So what I've done is that last place, I put this in the Facebook announcement. They have a special thing that I haven't announced yet. So what's on here isn't all last place is getting as the wooden spoon. But the first thing I'm throwing at it is a $50 professional commission painting voucher from Morites Studios, which is an individual which did a unit of Pathfinders for me for sponsorship. The terrain and map that's behind me was given to me so that I can make content with that. They have been incredible to me over the course of doing their stuff. So I thought that would be a fantastic place to put that.
I think we just lost Jay, ladies and gentlemen.
And it seems I have lost Scotty.
You're back now, brother. I've gotcha.
There we go. Can you hear me, Scotty?
Yeah, I gotcha.
There we go. Okay.
Let me just adjust your thing on my screen because it's just decided to crap out. So I'm just going to stop sharing for a second and then reshare one of my screens. Just give me 1 second.
Let me know when you're good to go, mate. I'll crack on.
There we
Lamb
go.
with a $10 super chat, it looks like. Let me bring up my other screen. Is that correct? You absolute friggin' monster. Hype to hear your GT talked about on Auspex Tactics. Has that already happened? If it has, that's the first I'm hearing about it. But, I mean, hopefully. I know that it's going to show up on things like Meta Monday and whatever because we're big enough to be featured on that. But
yeah,
thank you. That is incredible, Lamb. What a beast. All right, Scotty, are you good for me to keep talking on?
Go
Beautiful.
for it.
Alrighty, so Art of War sponsoring me is absolutely massive, and anybody who doesn't know who Art of War are, climb out from under the rock you've been living under. They are doing amazing work with competitive coaching and showing people in really digestible formats how to play the game, which is really fantastic. They have offered up an enormous amount of price support for this GT. So third last and second last will be getting 1 free month of Art of War coaching. You get to sit down with some of the just sexy individuals. They'll be teaching you how to play the game. They'll check in with you. They'll set up mission plans, secondary plans, help you with every aspect of it. it is really just such a great thing. If anybody is interested in getting some for yourself, head to theartofwar.com/the war room, and you can look at getting it. Even just Discord access in the war room, you get a bunch of extra content. And I've also set up something for the middle of the pack. People that are trying as hard as they can, wanting to do well at the GT. And I wanted to aim the Art of War premium coaching at somebody that is looking to just step their game up a little bit and start hitting those top tables. And I thought middle of the pack would be perfect. So this is going to be, out of 70 players, the dead middle.
Love it.
So this will be number 35 of the 70 players will get the Art of War premium coaching. Now, a point to make about my GT. You must show up on day 2 to be eligible for prize support. This is something I want to do because there is I call it a culture of the old guard. The people that were playing when I first joined the circuit and everything else, where they would, if they weren't going to podium at the end of day 1, might just not show up on day 2.
Yeah.
Now, I never understood that because I'm a hyper-competitive person, and I believe that showing up and trying your hardest, even if you've lost or there's no chance of you being top 3, that is a point of sportsmanship. That you show up and you still try your best and you don't give up.
Yeah.
So I wanted to encourage that with people showing up on day 2 to even get access to any of this stuff. And there's a lot of really good stuff. So being here for even just, I'm getting smashed, but I will walk away with something that is potentially very, very valuable.
Yeah.
So that is our Wooden Spoon Awards with something else to be announced for last place, which I'm very excited about.
Yeah. I will say, it's not the first time I've seen the middle of the pack prizes. We actually did it down here in Canberra for a long time.
Excellent.
We dubbed it what we jokingly called the mediocre man.
That's great.
So the person, exact same premise, middle of the pack, like of everybody that was playing, whoever was the middle. If we had if we had even numbers, say we had 20 players, we'd roll it. Its high roll goes to 10. If it was low roll, goes to 11.
Gotcha. Okay. Yep.
So even if you were like bang even middle of the pack, you didn't. It could be you. It could not be you. But yeah, no, that's awesome. So next up, well, I'll let you take it away, Jay. What other prizes do you want to talk about? Because I know you've got some you don't want to talk about yet. So you fire away with what you want to discuss.
All right, so let's go on to the painting awards, because this one, I'm actually very proud of the second category. So we've got our best painted for those rare unicorns that actually can put paint onto a model. We've got a $70 voucher to Irresistible Force, which is the local gaming store that's sponsoring my event as the headline sponsor. We've also got some green stuff and a wet palette for them. And we've also got an opt-in only category called Worst Painted, where you present a battle-ready model that could be played at any major event, but the model or the army, whichever you want to present to us, that makes us laugh or pity you the most, gets a $100 professional commission painting voucher. So we're looking to have a lot of fun on that one, and the reception so far has been extremely positive, with some very confident people saying that they are going to take it.
Yes, I believe a Mr. Feud may be going for that one.
I think I actually got to see the model in advance. I played him because I brought a meme double Storm Surge list to an RTT and kind of accidentally took second and kind of loved the list. And Feud was the only person I went down to on his Death Guard, which I tabled, but he got an early lead of primary, which I couldn't match. And so we ended the game. It was like 98 to 93 or something. It was like such a high-scoring game. But it was reminiscent of old Necrons from 9th, which was like, all right, you're going to table me, but you're also going to lose because I'm Necrons. But so I got to see his, I think it was a Land Raider, Chaos Land Raider.
Right.
And I'm not going to lie, it was pretty bad. It was pretty bad. But I'll wait. I'll hold off judgment and try and stay as impartial as I can until I see everybody's. But Worst Painted is something I'm very, very keen for, because just I love, people opting in to sort of roast themselves, roast each other, and create a bit of like a culture within the event, and also maybe have some people that don't know each other meet over, laughing at these different models and whatever else, and sort of putting faces to names and all that sort of thing. So
yeah, awesome. Those sound like best painted, great. Everyone can use a wet palette. 100%.
Yep.
And then also the worst painted, first time I've ever heard of it. Of course, voluntary, great notes on that one that you could choose to, but definitely a great prize as well.
Yeah. Now, the next thing that we can talk about in terms of prize support, I've got Meta Chaser and Fuck the Meta. Now, interestingly, this was decided before the balanced data slate. So we have Shroud Runners as the Meta Chaser, and we have Votann Bikes as the Fuck the Meta. Now, with Votan's buffs, Eldari have come down and Votann have come up, so they're sitting in around about the same spot, I think, with current meta stats.
Yes.
But you know what? I'm going to stick to it. Everybody still hates Eldari. Votann is still kind of the redheaded stepchild, so yeah, we're going to stick to that.
If I just quickly pull up stat check on my end, because I've got it open for a little bit later on, Eldari are a 57% win rate currently. Without the stats from this weekend, obviously LGT is still going on. That's going to have a massive impact on the stats.
Yes, it will. Yeah.
League of Votann's 56%.
Oh, okay. And actually, at Moab this weekend just gone, I know that Michael Rutkai had an amazing run on his Votann. He only went down in the last round, I believe.
Yeah.
And he only went down to Josh Brody, who took first.
Yes.
So, really, really amazing job from him, and his models looked amazing. I actually wish I'd have taken some photos of it. Because he had this sort of like gold chrome sort of style that he had with his Sagittarius and his land forts. But anyway, so that I think is kind of fitting that once upon a time Votann were the worst faction in the game, Eldari were running rampant, and now, so this will go to, Fuck the Meta will go to the person who is from the least represented faction. Meta Chaser will go to the most represented faction, and if we've got a bunch of people that are doing that, it will just be based on the number of people. I have an RNG app on my phone, and we will punch in. So if I have to roll a D11, we can do that. If we have to roll a D20, we can do that. All that sort of stuff, and then it'll randomly assign. Yeah. The next one is the big one for me. We have the Integrity and Kindness Awards. So as I said, I have actually put money down on the table for people that are decent human beings, are playing well, and are just a pleasure to play. Win or lose, you walk away from the table feeling better about yourself. Yeah. So, the best and fairest, the Tacker Award, as I'm naming a number of awards after my awesome patrons and YouTube members in the Chassot tier, you're going to get the Lion, which is not an easy model to find. And I figured that would be really, really fitting, as the Lion is, there it is. There he is. I thought it was a little bit tongue-in-cheek funny because in the Lord, the Lion is kind of a dick. So I thought it'd be funny to give them the Lion for being the best at the event. This will be based on player votes. After every round, I'm going to have a chat to people. And then at the end of the event, I'm going to go around and get from every single person their player's player. Yeah. So we've also got Community Spirit 1 and 2. These are just people that I keep getting consistent good feedback about, because I'm going to try and have my finger on the pulse as much as possible, chat to people, and just people that are standing out as awesome members of the community. They also a little bit tongue-in-cheek that they're going to get an Autark or Warlocks, again from Eldari. And then I've also got the Valkyrie Awards. Now, my wife and my best friend Rachel are going to be at the event helping me out, running the merch store, judging the best and worst painted, generally helping me out on the day. They are, because of Pantheon Studios, I'm the Allfather, and they are my Valkyries. Just people that are, treating them like decent human beings. They're kind to them, they interact well with them, or if they see some good play on a table as they're walking around, both of them have a $50 voucher to give away to IF.
Awesome.
So, yeah, not much more to say about that one. Then we get into just some lucky door prizes. This is where I've allocated a bunch of the Art of War stuff so that people that are coming to the event, I thought it would be a little bit weird to give Art of War coaching to people that were coming like first, second, or the third. So this is for, you know, to quote the other guys, this is for the grinders. This is for the other guys. So we've got 10 free 1 week Art of War War Room subs where you can get access to all of their extra videos, the Discord, everything else. There is 2 free 1 month Art of War War Room subs, 4 list design and creation services, and 2 1 month Art of War coaching services, which will be randomly assigned to people at the event. Now, with any of these giveaways that are randomly assigned, you cannot be allocated more than once. So if we get a duplicate, we will just re-roll the value. We have an RNG app, as I said before, so this will just be everybody on BCP will have a number assigned to them. We roll on the dice, and whatever comes up, comes up.
Yeah.
And this is hopefully something that can really encourage people to show up on day 2, that even if you don't place, I think there's only a handful of people that will actually walk away with nothing but the games that they've played, and to be corny, the friends we made along the way.
Yeah. So just to confirm, the lucky door prizes are going to people who don't have any other forms of prize support already being received.
Correct.
Cool.
Yep.
I think that's great.
Yeah, you put in for worst painted, and there was somebody who was more abhorrent than you. Fear not. There is still another prize category where you can get something.
Yeah.
All right. I'm doing a raffle, and we're also doing bingo. Now, the raffle, I am doing up a proper video to sort of talk about, but essentially, the raffle is going to be something that I'm going to open up to YouTube viewers, because I have a platform to do that. People who are international, though, if you're within Australia, I'm more than happy to ship this stuff at my own expense, because I can absorb that cost. International people, you will opt in knowing that if you are the lucky winner, you will probably have to pay for shipping to get it over to you. I'm sorry, I can't absorb that as a cost. It's too much. But this is a fundraising effort for me, as I want to run more and more events within Sydney, including teams events, which presently we have to go to at least Madawi to have a decent teams experience. I'm looking at buying 35 tables of terrain to be able to run 70-player events, no problem. This is going to be my method to doing this. Now, everybody at the event will be able to buy raffle tickets for half price. So they're going for $10 to every...
Oh no, we just lost Jay again, ladies and gentlemen.
Back, any kind of fool could see I was wrong. There he is. All right, I'm going to stop hurting people with my singing. All right, so to go back over that, it will be $10 for the normal tickets. Over the course of the event, people can buy them for $5 as they have paid to be there. They are going to get a benefit for doing that. And we have some incredible stuff. So the first prize of the raffle is going to be a Leviathan box. Ooh. Unopened and untouched. This thing retails in Australia for about $400. I also have a one-of-a-kind Magnature case with my icon. And actually, from making the video, it's sitting right here next to me. I am actually having to get my wife to convince me every day to still give this away, because this is so hard to get rid of. This is custom artwork that she has done up for me.
Yeah, nice.
There will never be another one of these made. This will be one of a kind.
That's awesome.
That one retailed for a couple of $100 itself. And then for the third prize, we've got a Demons Boarding Patrol. So in this effort to raise money for me to be able to get terrain, because unfortunately running events, and you would know this, Scotty, the biggest thing is your overheads.
Yes.
It contributes to the ticket price. It causes additional stress trying to make sure you've got enough tables of terrain. I want to get 35 tables of terrain immediately so that I can start running larger events, teams events. and have all of the things that I am, going through in this about sportsmanship being the focus, a ton of prize support from all of the different places that I have made connections with through YouTube and whatever else, and being able to funnel that onto players that, benefit from, I'm going to call myself a semi-successful YouTuber, but take that with a pinch of salt because I'm a tiny drop in the YouTube ocean. But at least I have stuff that I can throw at the events and really make it worth people's time. Now, the other thing will be, and ticket sales for the raffle. My website with all of my merch is going live on Tuesday. This is the first time I've announced this.
Nice.
It'll be Tuesday, hopefully around about midday, but I'm not going to put stress on the guy who's building my website to do that. So I'm going to say end of Tuesday, it'll be available. My awesome merch manager, Chelsea, has made 40 different categories of merch, which is incredible, including these light up LED mouse mat things with this custom towel symbol. It's going to be amazing. Anyway, nice. I'm getting ahead of myself. Ticket sales will go live on there. If you're at the event, you get them for half price. They will be going up until 7 days after the event ends. So the Saturday, the week after, ticket sales will cut off. And I'll do a live stream where Chelsea and I will jump on stream. We'll have some drinks and we'll actually draw those and work out who's who.
Nice.
The other thing will be a bingo competition where everybody will have a card. It'll be categories like, kill your own unit with a hazardous test, re-roll ones into ones. And one I'm going to put, because I want to troll my own team members, and there's one you'll be very familiar with. Pat Spooner is a member of the Pantheon. Because I constantly make a joke that he is actually like a living, walking knight, because he plays Imperial Knights. You will not be able to finish the sheet without kneeling before the living knight and yelling "Hail." So he's going to randomly have people walk up to his table and kneel before him and yell "Hail" in order to finish their bingo sheet. And I love that so much.
That's funny. That's really funny.
So that we're going to have a bunch of categories for the bingo. The first person to properly finish their bingo sheet, corroborated by their opponent or witnesses or whatever else, will get a unit of Custodes bikes.
Yeah, nice.
So, now, in my chat, I've had, and I will try and catch up with everything, but Loopy, I've just seen this one when I've been looking right. I will make this bingo sheet available after the event for people because it is awesome and it's not something I'm going to try and copyright or anything. I'll make this available for people to have a look at. It is hopefully going to be just a ton of fun.
Yeah, for sure.
And for people on my streams, that is just a little image of some of the prize support. Chelsea's been taking a bunch of photos.
It's a huge amount. It is a huge amount of prize support, Jay.
And this isn't even everything. We've gone through, I think, about maybe 3/4, but there are certain things that I'm still doing announcements for and whatever else. I have tried to, because the entry for this GT has been, on average more than you would pay at other GTs because I'm having to cover my own overheads and everything else. But IF, Art of War, Moratesh, they have been insanely generous with their prize support. And I've tried to funnel as much money back into prizes for people from their buy-ins once the overheads are taken care of. So my
100%.
biggest focus for this event is that people walk away from it feeling like there was value, they were respected as players, and there was something for everybody. And even if you don't win, you know that you were just, by the numbers, insanely unlucky, but you can be happy for other people that got stuff. So,
100%. All right. So with that covered off, that's prizes. I believe we already mentioned FAQs previously that you're using WTC as well. So using WTC as the basis. So I reckon let's now jump into the missions and the terrain.
Yes. All right, so I've got that up on mine. Let me know when you're good, mate.
I'm good to go. We got round 1 up on screen currently.
Alrighty.
So for this one, round 1, it's actually a pretty simple one. Search and destroy, so your table quarters, chilling rain, so no mission rule, and take and hold, which is just get 5 points for holding objectives up to 3, where you can score 15 a turn. And then do you want to kind of walk us through the terrain map? Because it's very similar to WTC style terrain.
Yes, because we're getting actual WTC terrain pieces. We have got the orange sort of bases. Those are your 3-story ruins. The yellow ones are your 2-story. Now, in line with WTC, we will be blocking out first floor of every single ruin.
Yeah.
So, what that will mean is that you can stage and you can hide. But we've also, and this was a conversation that Alex and I had, you'll notice on the terrain map, nobody is able to hold objectives aside from your home objective for free. And even then, we have put line of sight that you have to hide very effectively and position yourself very effectively to hold even your home field objective. One of the things that I loved from Uprising in Adelaide, which is the super major, it's the largest event that Australia runs, to my knowledge. I loved the focus that they put on, all right, if you decide to stand on an objective, you are risking something to do that. If you want to stage, you've got the ability to do that. You're not just going to get immediately cleaned up for stepping into a terrain piece. Because unfortunately, GW have put it that if you stand in a ruin, you are visible. And they unfortunately think that benefit of cover is enough for that. But as a Tau player, I don't care about your benefits of cover.
No.
If I can see you, I will kill you. And unfortunately, the Necron player on the weekend, who was actually an amazing individual. We had an amazing game, but he worked out just how damaging a crisis brick can be in one activation.
Yeah.
So the focus on this one is that you can stage, you can get ready to hit your opponent, but you do not ever get primary for free. You must risk something in order to get it. Round 1, we wanted it to be super simple. Now, this was tactical in its nature because, one, I knew that I was going to be furiously setting up terrain, so the mission with as least modifiers as possible would impact the players as least as possible.
Yeah.
And credit to Alex Anglazos, who made this entire terrain pack for me. I could not be doing this GT without him. Being able to lean on his expertise with running CruitCon last year. And actually, I guess that's another thing that we can talk about real quick. I'm doing custom cocktails through the RSL at the event. And one of them is going to be, as well as a merch item, is an homage to CruitCon, which Alex gave up to run this event with me. So there is going to be a Crute cocktail, and there is also going to be a Crute merch item to just sort of pay a little bit of respect to CruitCon, which was it crawled so that my event could run. And that's not to say the CruitCon wasn't big. It was an enormous event. It was so good,
big.
But it was a great event.
Yeah.
So that's our mission 1. We put the crates at the back, the little red squares, mostly so that you disrupted the deployment zone of each player so that you couldn't just castle super conservatively. You had that piece that would eventually move block you or take up some terrain. But then also that if you've got things that are coming down for actions, you're not just standing in the open with a big ass space that's just got nothing in it. If you want, you can come down with these little sort of things. The person that's defending that area must think about it in terms of like, all right, if I want to overwatch something that comes down there, I can't just stand on my objective for free and also get to do that. Yeah. And the other person, all right, if I want to shoot, I have to come down within range of this sort of box that's going to block off a bit of line of sight.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, classic example to pick on the first Codex, Tyranids. The classic cheeky single spawn mine or single Ripper Swarm base to come in through Deep Strike is quite popular, even if you wanted to throw a Lictor. You know, being on 40, 50 mil size bases, you can still hide them effectively in those positions. But at the same time, it was, it's one of those things that, you know, not doing it in the open is quite effective, but also screening that out as well if you want to as a player is an active choice as well.
Yeah, and that's probably the biggest thing that we were chatting about was we want everything that happens in the game to be a tactical choice in some way or another, and also have instances where good players can have some form of skill expression in the way that they do things. And even though this doesn't, like, you look at it and it looks like there's a ton of fire lanes, when you actually look at from deployment zone to deployment zone, there is no way to see them. and the angles are actually insanely tight with how the bases go, because
Mm.
everybody who's a competitive player will be familiar. You draw line of sight past the bases of the ruin, not just actually the ruin itself in 10th edition.
Yep.
So it means your angles are super, super tight, and it will reward good movement and good positioning, but you don't get angles just for free.
Yes, which is important. Having those the 3-story ones, one in your deployment zone each, and then 2 in the middle, is quite good. Having the, you've kind of got 4 ruins around that center point as well, which means that, yes, if you get up on the second level of the 2-story, you can see through. You can probably half deploy on there, move on. You've got coverage, which means, yes, you can threaten that and force your opponent to think about what they put there. At the same time, you can then also stage, and if you're able to kill the unit that your opponent's got looking at that objective as well, it means it frees that up for someone to score. But I think that the center is going to be the proverbial kill box for this mission.
Yeah. Yep. And it should be that, if you're a ranged only army, you don't get to hold the center for free. And if you're a melee army, that going out there, you are essentially going to be trading. But if you play well enough, you might be able to have some tricky plays to mitigate that or whatever. But everything is a sequential choice by the player in order to use resources.
Yeah, 100%. All right, so jumping into round 2.
Round 2, hammer and anvil, sweep and clear, and priority targets.
Spicy.
Now, this is where we get a little bit more complex, which I love. You can see the same sort of thought pattern around, you can hold your home objective, but that's it. You do not get to hold anything else for free. Though the ones on the extremities, you can sit there, but in order to do that, you are within the footprint of the ruin, and all somebody needs to do, I've got my mouse sort of hovering over the bottom, the angle that you've got still goes basically to the deployment zone. So if you're sitting in that ruin, all somebody has to do is deploy down the bottom of the map, and they will, with a simple 6-inch move, have visibility even to a tiny base that's sitting in the corner of that ruin trying to hold that objective.
Yep.
So, again, a focus on you don't get anything for free, areas where people can stage, a little bit of disruption from the boxes at the back of the deployment zone, but that also doubles it, because these will be too high. You also have areas for things like, I think about my Hammerhead, Skyray, Devilfish sort of bodies. They can hide behind those.
Yeah.
And have long-range fire, which is able to stage there. CSM, Forge Fiends, that sort of stuff, Predator tanks, whatever. Giving a few more options. And this one, mate, if you want to walk us through the mission rule and the primary mission, because they are really what takes the complexity for these ones.
Yeah, so just give me one hot second. I'll get my mission cards out.
Mate, I am actually going to do the same thing.
Because I was rushing to get the meta update. I had no chance to actually grab these out.
Sorry, I've just completely thrown you under the bus, man. I apologize.
It's all G. It's all G. So, having a look at sweep and clear, this is sticky objectives. So this is where if a unit controls an objective at the end of the command phase, they cap it until an enemy unit walks onto it.
Yep.
And then priority targets for the mission. It's actually one of the, as you were saying, more interesting missions, because you can only score a max of 10 victory points per turn, but then at the end of the game, you get a maximum of up to 15 points per player for each objective that you control for 5 points each. So it more makes it that whilst both players do score in their command phase during round 5, it's also end game. So the player who goes second here actually gets quite a bit more of an advantage.
Yes. And that was something that we were looking at, which is, again, a dedicated choice that we're on Hammer and Anvil. Sticky objectives just sounded really funny because the map mission is so long. And it also means that if you want to sticky and run forward, you can, but you can't do that. It's a choice that you make, because if they've got deep strikers or things that can redeploy quite quickly, looking at you, Votan bikes, you actually can't leave your home objective completely free.
No.
So it creates a situation where the mid board, I think this will affect it more, where you can move to an objective, and then if you can move over and move block or tie somebody up in combat, you could potentially make, the very, very top untargetable for your opponent, and that rewards smart play with sticky objectives and then movement shenanigans to stop people from getting over there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing that I will pick on that's going to be quite powerful in this mission is infiltrate and far-reaching scout moves. If you have a scout move that is like 9 to 12 inches, which I think is quite rare. I think the majority of them are between around that 6-inch mark. But if
there's a few that I know have a 7-1. A lot of Tau, thankfully, has 9-inch pregame moves.
Yeah. So if you're able to scout move onto that objective, having first turn, you sticky that in turn 1, you move off into the terrain on that first level behind line of sight so you can't get shot. If your opponent can't get onto it before your turn comes around, easy 10 points. Turn 1,
100%,
turn 2.
100%. And actually, for everybody's knowledge, Alex did a massive job. All of these terrains are actually scaled accurately. So this is exactly how the table will look in terms of like how big the bases and everything else is. So yeah, you stage up with your pregame moves, and I love doing this where I pre-measure. So if I go first, I can move up into the ruin and, you know, potentially get aggressive touching the thing. Or if I'm going second, I hide effectively. Knowing where you're going to be positioning with these and the sort of movement that you're going to have is so massive. So Alex really did an amazing job making sure that these were all accurate. So a little bit of extra complexity in round 2. It gets a little bit more complex when we get to round 3.
Yes, which is Crucible of Battle Deployment. So this is the angled hammer and anvil.
Yes, it is.
The supply lines. So this is the one where you sit on your home objective, and at the start of your command phase on a 4+, you get an additional CP. That is also included in the cap of only getting 1 additional CP per battle round outside of the per turn as well. So that's something to bear in mind. If you're bringing something in your list that gives you a CP, no point rolling it unless you lose that unit. Or if you don't manage to get, say, I'm pretty sure the Tau Ethereal is on a 4-up.
Just for some reason we don't get it for free. We have to roll for it.
I know Imhotep the Stormlord as well for Necrons is also a 4-up.
Yeah, okay.
I believe. So there's a couple that are still around that 4-up. So it means that you got 2 opportunities on a 4-up to get that additional CP. And then the primary is supply drop. So this is one where you have to pick an alpha and an omega objective. In battle round 4, for each, at the start of battle round 4, the alpha objective's removed. Start of battle round 5, all midfield objectives, so no man's land objectives, are removed with the omega being left. Round 4, each objective in no man's land is worth 8 victory points instead of 5, and then in the 5th battle round, it is worth 15 points for...
Which is enormous.
Yes.
And this was the mission that I played against Josh Brody on the weekend. That, you know, it was still a relatively close game, but that scoring at the end was actually very much in his favor because he was playing a pressure melee army, which meant he could just sprint at me, not worrying about primary, knowing that he could just make it up later on.
Yeah.
So he was... It really opened up some opportunities like that. So, and I'm really interested to see how some of the best players, because the roster at the moment for the event is a friggin' Shark Tank.
Oh, yeah.
There are some enormous names in New South Wales 40K that are coming to this. So I'm really interested to see how certain lists go into this one, because you really can play an aggressive early style and then go, okay, cool. If that game plan pays off, then I will just score all the primary I need towards the end of the game. Yeah. Assuming that you position well and the alpha and omega objective are, you know, something which is beneficial to you before it gets taken.
Yeah. Yeah, 100% agree. I mean, you're looking at the terrain placement as well. Again, same principles. The only thing that I'll put, I'll add in as a bit of a note here is that you can actually get some additional angles onto the center objective quite easily in this map because of the angle of the deployment.
Yep.
So it's not that hard to actually be able to move something, say, just at the top on that right-hand side, center one, roughly where I've got my cursor for those who are viewing on chat. If you get a
Yep.
unit there, you can actually really screen out that objective quite easily. Sure, it might open that unit up to shooting from the bottom left-hand ruin in the opponent's deployment zone, but they have to move and expose themselves to shoot you, and then you can shoot them back, again, creating that kill box.
Yeah, yeah. And, you know, as we've been going through with every other mission, when you do that, you are making a choice and you are having some inherent risk with that choice.
Yep.
Which I think should be really good. Not getting anything for free makes for more tactical games, in my experience.
Yep, definitely agree with that. So
Yeah.
then, round 4. Unless you had
Round
anything else
4?
to add on round 3.
No, not at all. Round 4, Dawn of War Ritual Scrambler Fields.
Interesting. Okay.
Now, this one, I believe Alex was very, very excited about because Dawn of War Ritual Scrambler Fields, there are a couple of modifiers. If you want to run us through those, which will stack with each other in very interesting ways.
Yes. So, Dawn of War, this is probably the deployment that most competitive players hate, is what I've heard the most. Is that because it's such a long span of stuff you got to cover, and it's hard to hide a lot of things. However, I like it. I personally would prefer it over, say, sweeping engagement, personally. Because then you've got the set,
Yep.
you got set range on one end and not on the other.
Yeah.
Scrambler Fields. You cannot infiltrate into no man's land onto an objective or your opponent's deployment zone, of course. You cannot scout before first turn onto within range of an objective marker or no man's land or your opponent's. Can't use any rule to redeploy a unit on top of an objective in no man's land. However, you can redeploy onto your opponent's objective. And you cannot place reserves or strategic reserves within range of an objective marker that is within no man's land or their opponent's deployment zone. So with Ritual, the way this one works is that you remove all but the center primary objective marker. And then, during your shooting phase, you can select one unit that's eligible to shoot and not battle shocked. Until the end of that turn, that unit can't shoot or charge. At the end of the turn, the player whose turn it is can set up one objective mark wholly within no man's land, within 1 inch of that unit, provided that it can be set up exactly 9 inches away from one other objective marker, and not within 6 inches of any other objective marker. So this mission, you can score 5 points for each objective marker in no man's land that you control, up to a max of 15. Player who went first scores in their command phase. Player who plays second scores at the bottom of their turn, which is massive because you place the objectives during your shooting phase. So second turn has got a massive advantage in this one again.
And what tickled Alex is that you can actually just start setting up objective markers from your deployment zone because it's Dawn of War. There are very few other maps where you can do that and meet all of the requirements that they make you jump through. And so, and on top of that, because of Scrambler Fields, taking objective markers that your opponent has put down like that is even harder because you can't just drop a unit down onto it, even after you've cleared it out or whatever else. You have to be very, very, very good with knowing, if you've got move, shoot, move abilities, those are going to be amazing because you are no longer blocked from moving after you come down because it only specifies within the phase that you came down. So as soon as you hit shooting phase, you're more than welcome to from deep strike or whatever. And so this one is going to have a level of complexity that I am going to be hovering around some of the bigger matchups because at this point we'll have players that are 3-0.
Yes.
And I'll be looking at them very intently, and I'll also be interested to see the reaction from your chat when you're streaming it, because this, I think, is going to be a place that you can have some enormous skill expression.
Yes.
Really, really massive skill expression.
I definitely agree with that. It also comes down to list building, because something that I've noticed, a lot of armies aren't necessarily taking into things like reserves or deep strikers or infiltrators or scouts. There are some armies that do very easily, for example, tower with pathfinders. Simple one. but a lot of other armies aren't really. I mean, the one Marine unit that you can do either an infiltrate or a scout move is infiltrators and incursors. You do have scouts, scouts and scout snipers that can do some redeploy shenanigans, infiltrate, but you're not really seeing those kind of units be taken in Marines at the moment. You know, Necrons can, depending on the units they take as well, but again, overall, you're not really seeing too much of it. So this
and it's something that I don't even know in the current meta if you want to start on objectives anyway. I tend to not, even with my infiltrating ghost kills, my pre-game moving piranhas, because if my opponent kills something that started the turn on an objective marker, I have just given up 3 points.
Yes.
For no reason. So it's an interesting one that, you know, as you rightly point out, you've got the list building step you've got to consider, you've got your pre-game step you've got to consider, and then you've got all the other decision-making points through the game. I think that's going to be really interesting, man. I'm really keen to see how some of the top players skin this cat.
I definitely agree. It's going to be one to watch, and it will definitely separate the top pack. I reckon it will separate the top 8 to 16 players really well.
Yeah. And actually, on that note, quick shameless plug, but not for myself, make sure you have followed the Australia's Tabletop Wargaming Network. I will get a link for all of you that I will chuck in my chats, because if you want to watch these games, you want to watch the Shark Tank that is going to be going on at the Pantheon GT. Obviously, if you're one of my viewers, you've already got my YouTube. I'm going to be putting up content for that, but make sure you go and show some love to Scotty. And also on top of that, don't forget, you have a free Prime. You can just click a little button and you get emotes and you get everything else. It is not cheap following the tournament circuit around, carrying hundreds of kilos of equipment and everything else. And we need more of it because there is, I think, nobody else in Australia which is really doing this. And nobody which is doing it with the quality that Scotty does that. So go and show him some love. I will get the link right now while Scotty runs us through round 5.
Yes.
Make sure that you keep coverage of this stuff. And actually, I had a patron hit me up last night, Scotty. It was like, hey, are you going to be streaming any of this? I really, I find that battle reports just aren't competitive. I want something which is better. It sounds like your event is going to have this stuff. I actually flicked him all of your stuff. So I'm actually going to go and copy all of the links. And he was really excited about that. So if you're interested as well, at seeing, to quote my man Randy Savage, the cream of the crop, then you need to go and follow Scotty. So I'll put that in chat now.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Jay. So yeah, we'll be at the event streaming it. We'll figure out the logistics. We may not have the stream round 1 depending on setup. We'll see how we go. But we should definitely have day 2, the top table action happening and such as well, for sure. And then if you're not able to catch the coverage, we'll have the games up the next couple of weeks afterwards up on our YouTube channel as well. So round 5. Funnily enough, that we get to the deployment that I'm not the biggest fan of, which is sweeping engagement.
When you said it last round, I was like, oh boy, he's not going to like what comes next.
I do like Chilling Rain, though, as a mission rule. Nice and simple. Scorched Earth. Ooh. So if you don't know Scorched Earth, ladies and gentlemen, from the second battle round onwards, if you're on an objective, you can select one unit that's not battle shocked, and until the end of the turn, you can't shoot or charge, as with any other one of these rules. If you're within 1 inch of that objective marker, the players whose turn it is, that objective marker is burnt and removed from the battlefield. So for the objectives, at the end of each command phase, the player's turn it is scores 5 victory points for each that they control, up to a max of 10. And the players who has first turn scores in their command phase during round 5. Round 5, if you go second, it's at the bottom as well. And then for each player scores 5 victory points if one or more objective markers is burned in no man's land by a unit from their army, and 10 victory points if they burnt their opponent's deployment zone objective. This is a spicy one. Now, there's some very different strategy that you can employ with this one. If you want to be aggressive. Now, I will note that for this one, if I can just find the card again, it's from the second battle round. So you cannot burn this turn 1. You cannot go and move into the center, burn all 3 objectives turn 1 and go, cool, let's just hold objectives. I'm going to win primary over you and see where the cards go. No, you can't. You've got to get at least until turn 2. Now, the player who goes first does have the advantage in this instance to be able to move on to them more effectively and do it. However, if you do that, what you're actually going to end up limiting yourself to is 20 points on primary plus the 5 victory points at the end. So 25 points is the max you'll be able to score, because if you keep your home objective, say you're not on any of the center ones before you move on within an inch and then burn them, you're only going to get your home objective. Now, yes, you will beat your opponent, who will score potentially 20 points. If they manage to burn your own one, or you manage to burn your opponent's, there's an additional 10, but that's in the cases where you're completely wiping your opponent in those situations, because if you've gotten the home field and they haven't been able to stop you, then the writing's on the wall. But the more tactical players will potentially not burn it until maybe rounds 4 or 5, particularly if you're going first. If you go first and you burn it during battle round 5 and battle round 4 or battle round 5, where you've already gotten 20 points on the board, you burn it, then you got 5 points for turns 4 and 5, and the additional 5, there's 35 points out of 50. A lot more appetizing. So there is definitely a lot of strategy in terms of if you want to burn it. Some cases you don't. You just want to score 50 on primary. This is going to be a mission.
Well, interestingly, you actually can't score max primary without burning, which a lot of people found out the hard way at Moab.
You are correct, because you can get a max of 40 on regular scoring. So
if you and it really sort of puts, as you were saying, it makes it so that the time that you burn is so important, because the other thing is you have to live until your next command phase. Yep. So this isn't like jump onto it and I'll just burn it and the end of my turn it's gone, haha, big middle fingers. This is the time that you decide that you want to do it. And along with the philosophy that we had from all the other rounds, you don't get to stand on an objective marker for free.
Yep.
And just hide and whatever else. You must expose something.
Yep.
So with that in mind, when you burn it is so, so, so important.
Yep. So, the max victory points, if you don't manage to burn your opponent's objective, is 45 for this mission, because it's a 1 or more on no man's land. So it means it does bring secondaries into a bit more of a play, because there is only the 5-point difference then. So secondaries are going to be a lot more important in this mission as well. So it's an interesting one. It's definitely very tactical, so it'll separate players out in terms of the tactical thinking. And you have to have a game plan for what you're going into. You cannot have a game plan for this mission until you know what you are playing for this round.
Yep, absolutely. And it's why we put the mission rule to Chilling Reign, even though we've tried to change it up every single one, because this is round 5. People are fatigued. They're at the end of their run, and there is, for the top tables, there is a large amount of prize support on the line. We wanted to make it so that the focus was, as you said, on those really important secondary missions that you have to know how you're going to score, and then a tactical plan for when you are going to burn an objective marker, so that, if there is only that 5-point difference, there might be a player who is able to score their secondaries every single round, and even if they can't burn, they outscore their opponent who was able to burn an objective marker. There is that sort of give and take in game plans, that just because you can't burn doesn't mean that you are just immediately fried and you're not going to be able to make anything up. We also put it on Sweeping Engagement, because this one you will not be able to burn for free, because you are so close to your opponent's deployment zone. Unless you are just tabling them straight up, they will have things that are going to be able to come out and punch you in the face.
Yep, 100% agree. 100% agree. So that about covers it for all of the missions that we're going to be looking at. Now we get into the spicy stuff, which is we're going to talk about the meta. Now, I am going to pull this up, and hopefully, it has come up the way that I was hoping it would. Now, I will say this before we jump into this chat. We did have some late updates, so the percentage isn't necessarily correct. I'm actually going to update them on the fly as we look at this. So, Space Marines overall, you're actually looking at, what's that? That's going to be 8 players. So, if we've got 8 out of, I think I last counted was 67 players, you're actually looking at 11.9% of the meta there. You got 3 Dark Angels, 2 Ultramarines, 1 Adeptus Astartes as Raptors, 1 Raven Guard, and 1 Space Wolf. So, no Blood Angels, no Death Watch, no other, main codex outside of Ultramarines and Raven Guard, which is really interesting. That is potentially taking special characters. It is also interesting to note, I believe it's Chris Wright who is playing Raven Guard as well.
I was going to point it out if you didn't get to that one, because for anybody who is not familiar with Chris Wright, he is arguably the best player in Australia.
Yeah.
At least within top 5 contention. And that is saying a lot, as we are a country that has enjoyed first place at WTC last year and third place this year. We have very, very healthy and competitive metas. There are some insanely good people within our circuits. And Chris Wright is one of the best of them. He actually won CritCon last year.
Yes.
So I'll be very, very keen to see what he is doing. Now, should we delve into his list a little bit?
We could do that afterwards. We can do that after we go through the meta.
Yeah, let's stick with the stats. Let's do it.
Let's do the stats side of things first, and we can go from there. So I'm just getting a little bit ahead of the game, just trying to get the percentages and all that updated for everyone as well on screen.
Yep.
So Imperium is up next. We've got 11 players at 16.4% of the meta, with 3 players for Asher Militarum, Imperial Knights, and Adeptus Custodes, with 1 Adeptus Sororitas and 1 Adeptus Mechanicus. Really interesting. No Grey Knights at all.
Yeah.
So if we have a quick look at stat check for a bit of reference here, because the Imperium is actually, like, the Imperium subfaction isn't in the greatest spot at the moment overall. Adeptus Custodes are at 43%, Grey Knights are at 47%, Asher Militarum and Imperial Knights are both at 47% as well. Admech have jumped up to 49%, which I'm sure Alex will be really happy about. Adeptus Sororitas, the week before last, they actually shot up to being like, I think it was like something ridiculous in terms of their win rate, but they did have a significant over-rep because they did win an event, I believe. They were up in the high 50s. They are back down to 48%. So, Custodes and Sororitas, are probably the two. I'm expecting Sororitas to maybe drop down a little bit more in my expectation. However, Knights and Admech and Asher Militarum are still up there quite consistently, relatively good win rate compared to the rest of the field. It's actually, when I was looking at this last week, we've got 13 factions of the game that are above, that are 50% or above, and 13 that are 49 and below. So we've actually got quite an even split of win rates at the moment.
Which is good, because our predictions for the meta, when we were talking in our last stream, we were really lauding some of the changes and everything else. And it's good to see that we have landed in a pretty healthy position.
Yeah.
And excuse me, with the thing there. On the Sororitas you were talking about before, and I feel like there are a number of factions that have fallen in this sort of place where the biggest abusers of early 10th indexes really had awesome, solid game plans into them, as well as everybody else. But with them being toned down a bit, it really allows those armies to shine. Yes. And I know that Sororitas got points cuts on a bunch of different stuff. Obviously, no rules changes, but as we said in that video, that data slate was never actually intended to be rules changes. It was actually originally only going to be points, but 10th was a dumpster fire. So, just with some of the hits that they've done, and we haven't seen Eldari fall off a cliff. GSE actually got hit pretty hard, though they still do have some play. Eldari is still doing well. They're just doing well with different things than they were before. Namely, I haven't seen anybody taking Wraith Knights. And I think that is a big up for sisters who need to be able to stage, need to be able to trade, need to be able to do all these things to get use out of the number of bodies, and the devastating wounds change is also amazing for them because you can't have big shooting with devastating wounds just pick up a 10-man sister unit.
Yep, 100%.
That was an incorrect statement. A 10-woman sister unit.
Yes.
So absolute Chad bringing the Sororitas. I'm all about that. So yeah, good to see that there's a healthy spread, but as you said, Imperium not in the best place.
Yeah. So, good to see AdMech, though, are still being represented as well.
Yes.
Seeing them starting to come back, obviously, with Skitarii Rangers and Vanguard getting that 5-up invulnerable save as well. Hopefully that's had some impact. And their points drops as well. Then jumping into the Chaos Super Faction, we have 15 players total, covering 22.4% of the meta. We've got 6 Chaos Knights, 5 Chaos Space Marines, 2 World Eaters, 1 Death Guard, and 1,000 Suns. Player now to quote Slim Hogan in chat, no demons. No demons at all. Which is interesting.
Is a little bit surprising. I thought there might have been a diehard that decided to go for it, but yeah. Now I know that CSM are actually in a really good place right now.
Yes.
They kind of, I think, were a little bit underrated even before the data slate.
Yeah. So
and people hadn't got their head around it, but yeah.
Now they have Chaos Space Marines. They are currently 4th in the faction rankings. They're sitting at a 55% win rate on equal with Tau.
Very nice, very healthy. And there's actually quite a few different CSM builds that I've seen going around the place. The one that my only loss from Moab, Josh Brody, he was running as I said, a pressure list, which was doing a bunch of I think they're accursed cultists or something, these big bricks of dudes that, just had a billion attacks. They got a 6-up feel no pain. A Crisis Squad rips through them quite well, but he was also backed up by 2, I think it was Predator tanks with las cannons and a Forge Fiend. Yeah. Which is some nasty long-range shooting.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
And actually, even just their army rule, thematic and felt really good for all right, I'm going to give myself lethal hits or sustained hits, and I'm going to roll a battle shock test. If I fail, I take mortals. That is probably the most CSM thing I can think about. I am going to spend my flesh for power. Yeah.
Basically. So to look at the rest of the win rates, Chaos Knights are actually sitting at a 51% win rate, which is above Imperial Knights. Before the balanced data slate, it was actually around the other way. Imperial Knights were much higher than Chaos Knights. So it's good to see there's been a bit of a flip there, but obviously 6 players for them. They are equal first in terms of their representation at the tournament. World Eaters are currently sitting on an even 50%, which is not too bad. Death Guard are slowly clawing their way back up with a 47% win rate, and 1,000 Suns are at a 50% even win rate as well.
Which, even after the adjustments that 1,000 Suns got, it's good that they didn't get nuked into the earth.
Yes.
They still have play, they still have game plans, but it's not as oppressive as they once were, especially with somebody who is experienced, knows their tricks, knows how to spend their Cabal points. That can be an insanely scary matchup with somebody who knows what they're doing.
Yeah, exactly. Next up, we come to the Eldari Super Faction, which is only 5 players with 7.5% of the players in attendance. We've got 2 on...
Which is such a swing. Oh my god.
Massive swing. 2 players on Asciani or Eldari, because there's so much confusion around inputting that into BCP at the moment, because effectively it's the one codex for them, whether you're playing whether you got Harlequins in there as well or not. It's just that faction, which is they need to clean that
actually
up
I'll bring it up on my screen, because we were actually laughing about this before, that BCP having some issues at the moment. Eldari are listed under Admech, and then you've got a Suriani under a Suriani. You've got Chaos listed under Blood Angels. You've got what else have we got? There was another really funny one. Drukhari cover the most factions in the game outside of Adeptus Astartes, because you've got Force of the Hive Mind, Gene Stealer Cult, Grey Knights, Harlequins, Imperial Knights, Imperium, and Khorne. All right.
Oh, gosh. It's lovely piece of technology, they say. It'll be fine, they say.
And this on top of them phasing out the TO app for your phone means I actually have to transport a laptop to be able to see my BCP stuff properly, which is just, that's so much fun. I love that.
Yeah, fun times. Anyway, getting back to the players. So obviously Eldari is sitting at a 57% win rate at the top of the meta at the moment. We've got 2 Drukhari players. Drukhari are actually a really tough spot, sitting at 42%, just ahead of Blood Angels.
They needed more love. They needed some more love in the data slate. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Ynnari, which they aren't actually on the dashboard currently, for what I see. I dare say they're probably rolled into Eldari at this stage. So, you could say they're up to the 57% win rate as well. Okay. So yeah, not, as you were saying, a massive swing on the attendance for the Eldari faction as well. Seeing one Ynnari, I dare say it's got an Incarn in the list. Having not seen it, I can just immediately pick Incarn immediately.
I can actually let you know, because I just swirled past Owen. The other 2 characters are the Incarn and Yvrain.
Not surprised.
He is actually playing proper Ynnari, because he's got a troop, he's got an Archon, Beastmaster, Cabalites, Venoms, Witches, Scourges, one Ravager. He is actually just gone for... Yeah, honestly, I feel like now we are seeing the people who are not meta chasers, but actual Eldari fans are sitting on Eldari.
Yes.
We are seeing the diehards.
Yeah, which is what you want to see.
Yeah.
Which is what you want to see. Then we come to the Hivemind super faction, which again is 11 players, making up 16.4% of the meta, with 6 on the new Tyrannid Codex, which, funnily enough, Tyranids are only at a 52% win rate after the first weekend with their new Codex.
Yes. And I have heard mixed results from people enjoying or not the Tyranids Codex. For the most part, the general consensus has been that the Codex is strictly a slight step down from what the Index was.
Yeah.
Which is interesting, particularly with the Codex creep we saw in 9th.
Yes. So maybe, just maybe, small amount of hope, ladies and gentlemen, that we don't see a lot of Codex creep this edition.
Yeah, that would be really good, because it was starting to get kind of nutty towards the end of it.
A bit heinous, you could say.
Yeah, I mean, like, Leagues of Votann being nerfed before the Codex was even in people's hands.
Yeah, day 0 nerf.
That egregious. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I guess is kind of the good thing about having a lot of content creators in the space now that are getting advanced copies. People were able to actually see this with the lack of playtesting and... actually go, hey, this is going to be a massive problem. Please, GW, do something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Gene Stealer Colts at 5 players. Now, Gene Stealer Colts are still sitting up at a 54% win rate, but that's a lot better than where they were at 60.
Yes, correct.
So the changes to their reserves, bringing stuff back, turns 1 and 2 getting a +1. We covered that in the last one. But yeah, really good changes. We're seeing the impact of that in their win rate currently. And hopefully, will they stabilize at 54 or will they continue to drop down to, say, 52, 51% is yet to be seen. This weekend is going to be a massive tell, particularly with the LGT results.
Yes, absolutely.
Then we come into the Xenos Super Faction, which covers every other Xenos race. 14 players for a 20.9% representation in the meta. We've got equally 4 Leagues of Votann players, 4 Necron players, and then equally 3 Orc players and 3 Tau Empire players.
Okay.
So, looking at the win rates here, we got obviously 56% for Votann. They are quite strong, as we'd previously mentioned at the moment, after their points drops and their detachment buff. To quote Gary Morris from the Down Under 40k Discord, we needed either the buff or the points drops, not both. And I think the win rate shows it.
So yeah, they are sitting 1% above the delta. The GW said that they want all factions to sit in.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because they were really, really not in a good spot
No.
beforehand, which I mean, I'm not a balancer, and I haven't really started properly making content for Votan, so I won't speak to any sort of expertise. But I do know that after all of the updates, it did make playing Votan a bit more appetizing.
Yeah.
So yeah. It'll be interesting to see how they go, especially because we are going to have a number of very, very good players clash into each other and see how the matchups actually play out.
Yeah.
And I would be very surprised if we don't see Gary on Votan, which actually this is one of the non-factions that are in. So yeah, he is on them.
Okay, cool.
I was going to say I would eat my left shoe if he wasn't on. If he wasn't on his, because he was the diehard that was playing it all the way through.
Yes.
Yeah.
Back end of 9th, once they dropped, he pretty much jumped from Grey Knights onto them straight away.
Yep. And for anybody who's watching this from my side, I will be reviewing the tower lists once I send all the lists live. We'll chat about a couple of lists in these streams. That'll be sort of an advanced view. List submission is closed, so I'm not worried about people adjusting or everything else. I've already flicked that switch off. And the other people that are coming in are going to be last minute anyway, so that would be the case. So
so look at the rest of the win rates. Necrons have kind of gone from riches to rags a little bit. They're down at 46% win rate from 53.
Exactly where they should be. Oh, that's excellent. Oh,
look, I'm not gonna lie. The changes to Necrons were important, and the change to battle tactic free spend did have a large impact because you were seeing people be able to go at a crucial moment. They would be able to go, I'm going to spend a CP to do the res strat on this unit, and then they're going to spend the free once per battle round with the Overlord to do it again. So the double res is now stopped. You can't do that, and I think that is showing in their win rate. The points adjustments, we saw some decreases, some increases. The increases were mainly on very popular units like Lich Guard and Crypto Thralls being taken for the Lich Guard bombs that you're effectively seeing with an Overlord, Technomancer, 2 Crypto Thralls, and the 5 Sword and Board Lich Guard, which now comes in at around 350 to 400 points if you want to run that brick. So, whereas you've got Warrior Bricks down from being 240 points for 20 to being 220. So they dropped by a point per model, effectively. So a little bit more viable to take Warriors compared to just taking Lich Guard, not much else, or supporting units and such as well. Orcs are sitting at a very healthy 54% win rate. These guys are sleepers. I think Orcs are very much sleepers in the meta at the moment.
I got to play against a list, we were talking about this last time, that Kyle was playing. It was a representation of a WTC list that was really, really good. And I don't know that the list got touched a ton. There were some adjustments. Having said that, though, Orcs are still sitting in a great place where they have a couple of different things you can do. There is a lot of bodies in the war. It is a bunch of attacks, and advance and charge is always scary, especially because on some of the deployments, there are easy ways for them to move up, get in position, and even if they don't go first, stage and really slam you on a turn. If you go into a good Orcs player, and we saw Brad Milner took, I think it was second or third at Moab on the weekend with Orcs, and he has been a diehard of the faction for as long as I've been in the circuit. So you get a good Orcs player that knows what they're doing, and they've got plenty of mission playing tools. It's not just all about the damage, but they can be scary as soon as they touch a unit.
100%. Which, they excel in close combat, and so that's what they are good at, which makes sense. And then your beloved Tau, sitting at a 55% win rate currently.
Which is really good. Much better than the 38% we were before.
Yes.
What a difference points can make.
Oh, yeah. And something I've been noticing is a lot of Tau players are opting to take 1 or maybe even 2 bricks of what you were saying earlier of the 6 crisis suits with shield drones with 3 cyclic ions a piece, putting out 54 shots before you even put a commander in there is nutty.
Correct. And another thing that I think people are going to start playing very, very soon, because I'm seeing the strength of it, is actually my beloved Fish of Fury. Putting 30 shots plus, with the build that I was running, 9 gun drone shots plus the main dude's shots, because drones are war gear now. So the gun drones with normally 2 shots go to 3 with the Cadre Fireblades plus 1 attack to range weapons.
Yep.
So, and then on top of that, the Fireblade, who's carrying most of the gun drones, when you roll a 6 to wound, it's AP3 on that sort of fire.
Ooh.
So you've got some really good stuff, and with Tetris giving full rerolls to hit, but you also don't even need it. They are the only non-commander unit that has ballistic skill 3 on their main guns. So if you guide them with anyone, it's ballistic skill 2. Wow. And then if your enemy's standing on an objective, you get full rerolls to wound. Yeah. Even into a knight, you get a substantial amount of damage out from 1 unit. I am actually looking at a list where you max out on Fish of Fury, and you just you have no shortage of damage, but you also have a bunch of devilfish bodies that are carrying them around, which very few armies, as we're seeing more people pick up more bodies than they are heavy armor. A lot of people onto a T9 body, I think it is. They live for surprisingly long. So, yeah. But anyway, that's enough me Tau-splaining to everybody. I'm really, really keen to see how the Tau guys go. I'll be following every single one of them and just sort of finding out how they go across their games, maybe having a chat with them afterwards to talk about matchups and whatever. But yeah, from what you've said, it looks like we got a very healthy spread.
Yes, and I've just taken the stats off the screen because I want to get the faction podium up to date for everybody, because it has changed quite significantly from where it was at. So we've got some that have changed, some that haven't. So whilst we're doing that, Jay, do you want to pick out 5 lists? I'm going to get you to pick out 5 lists that you want to have a look at, brother. And we can take a cheeky gander at each of them to have a look at what people are running and see what some of the top players in attendance are packing.
Okay, so immediately I have to pick up Chris Wright. That's just...
Okay. We can do that easy.
I have to do that. I also want to look at the member of my team, Chris O'Neill, who is also our only AdMech player.
Done. Consider
surprisingly,
that done.
Alex Anglazos is on Tyrannid. Well, not surprisingly, he has been playing this faction a lot. He, his words, accidentally became rank 1 playing melee Tyrannids.
Yes.
But he's not actually on them. He is running his Nids. I will also go, I think if we're talking top players, I think Damien Ridgewell will be somebody to watch.
Yep.
Who else? Jordan McGregor is also a fantastic player on his Chaos Knights, so I'll pick that one.
Yep.
And then our final one, I'm going to talk about Pete O'Neill on Thousand Suns.
Alrighty, sounds good to me. So, to look at the faction podium, ladies and gentlemen, now that we've got that nicely updated. So, first 2 factions for the faction podium. In first place is both Chaos Knights and Tyranids, coming in with 6 players each, making up a total representation of 17.9% of players. Next up, we've got Chaos Space Marines and Gene Stealer Cults in second place with 5 players each, making up 14.9% of players in attendance. And then in third place, we've got both Leagues of Votann and Necrons having 4 players each with 11.9% of players in attendance. Now, the faction podium itself makes up 30 players and 44.8% of the player meta. And just a quick note, this does only represent 65 or 97% of the meta in attendance, as we are still waiting on 2 lists to come in. So as you were saying, really healthy meta overall. I'm really stoked at how it is shaping up in general, because as we've seen the balanced data slate, and we're starting to see this happen a bit more, as you were saying earlier, the diehards are jumping on the factions that they want to play. The power gamers are maybe jumping to different factions, seeing what works. Some players might be waiting for the Marine Codex that drops next weekend as well, because it is a 2-week pre-order window. But, you know, there's still some of the staples that you're seeing being popularly taken. Chaos Knights have jumped up in popularity. Imperial Knights have dropped down. So maybe players are jumping from Imperial Knights to Chaos Knights because the Imperial Knights change. Tyranids are quite strong, obviously, because of, well, potentially because of their new codex, and people just wanting to play the new codex, test out different builds, despite the mixed feelings people have got. Leagues of Votann still quite popular because of that high win rate currently, as well as Necrons. People just love Necrons and just bringing models back because that's just so much fun. Chaos Space Marines, though, is definitely, you know, we were talking about how orcs are a sleeper. Chaos Space Marines were a sleeper initially, and now that people have started to figure out how to play them or play different builds, they are becoming a lot more popular. So not surprised there. The ones that, you know, we've had called out that haven't gotten any representation here. We don't actually have any Chaos Demons. We don't have any Grey Knights. We don't have any Death Watch or Blood Angels, as well as just more generic Space Marines. Like, we've got 4 standard Space Marine players in attendance. So I dare say Marine players might come out of the woodwork a bit more once we get the Codex, but with the changes that they've said, it might not happen. We'll see. But I think overall, this is quite a healthy and diverse meta that's in attendance for the tournament.
Which is really good. One of the things that I expressed to you in our last stream is that without a data slate, as a TO, I was getting very, very uncomfortable with the idea of running an event in the meta that we had.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be fun. We were seeing an enormous amount of apathy towards 10th as a whole.
Yes.
And now seeing this diversity, and even just speaking to people in the tournament circuit, having people be really excited about the game is just, it's really heartening as somebody who is trying to run events for them.
Yes.
The last thing you want is somebody who is putting on an event to hear that people just kind of don't give a crap. So yeah, I am really, really excited. Which list would you like to start with, Scotty?
Let's start with the top. Let's go with Chris Wright's list.
Chris Wright, all right.
And I'll be fully relying on you to walk through these, brother, because I don't have the access on VCP.
Do you have... I should be sharing my screen with you through the collab cam.
It is not up on my end, my friend, but we do have Chris in chat.
Let me check that.
I think if you put it up, it'll skew your face cam for me at the moment as well.
Okay, so I won't put it up for you. That's fine. Yeah. All right, so I'll just list things out, and with your Space Marines expertise, you let me know exactly what's going on with it. So this will be, the list is called Bouncy Boys. It is in a Gladius task force, so not using any custom attachment or anything.
Yep.
I don't know if Raven Guard actually have one. I think maybe they do just have to go Gladius.
They do have to just go Gladius at the moment until we get the Codex.
Okay, so Apothecary Biologist with an enhancement Bolter Discipline. We have our boy Caven Shrike, the emo himself, and a Librarian in Phobos armor with the Artificer armor enhancement. A Primaris Captain with the Honor Vehement enhancement. And that is all of our characters, so only 4. Battle line, we have an Assault Intercessor squad. The Sergeant's rocking a Plasma Pistol and a Power Fist. Everybody else with Chainswords and Heavy Bolt Pistols. We have an Impulsor with 2 Fragstorm Grenade Launchers, an Iron Hail Heavy Stubber, and Sky Talon Array. We then go to a 6-man Aggressor squad. Boltstorm Gauntlets and Fragstorm Grenade Launchers and Power Fist for all.
Yep.
Assault squad with Jump Pack as a 10-man, the Sergeant rocking an Inferno Pistol and a Thunder Hammer, 9 of them with the Jump Pack split into 5 Chainswords, 7 Bolt Pistol, 2 Close Combat, 2 Eviscerator, and 2 Melter Guns. So a little bit of a spread, a little bit of shooting threat in that one. An Attack Bike squad which I love with multi-bolter and twin bolt gun.
Yeah.
An Inceptor squad rocking the Plasma Exterminators.
Mm-hmm.
An Infiltrator squad, which is a 5-man.
Yep.
A Land Raider Redeemer. Let's go.
Ooh.
2 Flamestorm cannons, Hunter Killer, multi-bolter, Stormbolter, twin assault cannon.
Yep.
Vanguard Veteran squad with an heirloom weapon on the Sergeant and an Inferno pistol. And then Inferno pistols on the other guys. Actually, that must just be their default because it's all heirloom weapons and Infernos. Yeah. Vanguard Vets with jump packs. Looks like a 5-man with a similar loadout.
Yep.
Actually, sorry, I should have looked ahead. That is 3 squads. One of them 10-man, 2 of them are 5-man. Equipped exactly the same. And then a Calidus Assassin because well, she's amazing. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
So, from that list, does anything jump out to you, Scotty? Obviously, having the named character is awesome.
Yep. So, I would say there's a few things that do stand out. First off, the Apothecary Biologist going into the Aggressors, and they will be in the Redeemer. 100%.
Yep, okay.
Because what the Apothecary Biologist does, if you kill something in combat, that model's objective control goes up to 9. It is base 3.
Wow. Okay. Yep.
So, and having Bolter Discipline gives sustained hits 1 on the Aggressors, which means that, you're getting additional hits on 6s. On top of that, when you're in Devastator Doctrine, which allows you to both advance and shoot in a turn, it means that criticals are also on a 5-up when you're in Devastator Doctrine. So 5s and 6s with sustained hits 1. Hitting on 3s with that is really strong. Artificer Armor on the Librarian is a pretty safe pick because the Phobos Librarian isn't necessarily the toughest out of all of the Marine Librarians. It is the probably the best choice there. Chris is in chat. We got Chris in chat here. He's saying
excellent.
It's everything that the Eldar I was running for WTC wasn't. I was sick of shooting, so I brought basically nothing over 18. Respectable.
Excellent.
I'm a big fan personally of assault squads. I in my current Marine list and rip to them when the Codex drops. I actually run 2 5-mans, primarily for objective play. Okay. So I dare say that the 2 5-man Vanguard is going to be more objective play. The 10-man Vanguard and the 10-man Assault Marine units are probably going to try and do some shenanigans, maybe deep strike in or just use their speed to get into combat, use some staging with the terrain and to get there effectively, particularly the Assault Marines, because they've got the Eviscerators, the Melter Guns to get into combat. They can do really well with that. And yeah, I think overall you've got the Infiltrators there. They're going to... I'm not sure how Chris will play the Infiltrators, whether he'll go aggressive or defensive. I think there might be the only spot where you can put the Phobos Librarian in the list.
Yep.
So for them, and does it say if the Infiltrators have got either the Helix Gauntlet or the Comms Array? Because that's an important thing.
So Infiltrator, Comms Array, and Helix Gauntlet.
Okay, so both are free picks. What the Infiltrators now get is a 6-up Feel No Pain because of the Helix Gauntlet, and if you target them with the strat, is that if you target them with the strat, the Comms Array on a 5+, you get a CP back.
Okay, all right, so they are a really nice tech piece. Okay, awesome. So I think, especially a player as good as Chris, this is going to be something that, depending on the matchup, he is going to be able to use these to sort of surgically perform a role that he needs within that matchup. Whether it's objective play, whether it's pressuring the opponent a little bit, whether it's... And even just using an Infiltrator squad to screen off a very important, pre-game move. Yeah. I know that there are certain plays against me. If you don't screen off my Piranhas, I am going to be all up in your business within your deployment zone turn 1. Yes. But if you can block off a decent area, especially after I put the model down, I am in a world of hurt. So I will be really, really keen to see, and hopefully we can get Chris on stream to just see how a player as good as him uses these as a tech piece.
Yeah, 100%. So yeah, really good list in my opinion. It makes use of a lot of things that are actually cycling out with the codex dropping, so it's going to be great to see how that plays as well. The other thing I'll make note of is watch out for that captain. he is going to be a close combat threat because of the Honor Vehement. What that does is it gives him +1 attacks, +1 strength to his melee weapons. And then when in Assault Doctrine, it's +2 attacks, +2 strength.
Oh, okay. So he's just going to be a blender. Yep.
Yes. From memory, it was a jump pack captain as well. So I would probably guess that that's going in the Assault Marines, would be my guess.
So, Primaris captain, there's no jump pack on the
captain.
list.
Okay.
Yeah, just a Primaris captain. So,
all right, good to know. So
and Rocky and Power Fist, extra attacks on a weapon like that, really, really nasty.
And,
really
and
nasty.
the additional strength. So it puts it up to strength 9. In Assault Doctrine goes to strength 10. Really important if you're going into any armor that's going to be... Foot Captain goes with the Assault Intercessors is what Chris is saying. I did forget there were Assault Intercessors there. So another unit that can do some assault play. It is only a 5-man in the list from memory as well. So if I had, again, not having the list in front of me does make it a bit difficult to remember, but that's okay. I'm doing the best that I can with it. So thanks, Chris, for letting us know a bit more info about the list as well, with some stuff. And he actually hasn't played a game with the list as of yet either. So,
well, I'm sure the 5-0 will be really tough on him, but he'll probably make it work. You know.
Yeah. All right. So let's move on to the next list.
Okay, so let's go into what my good friend Chris has titled Jay's Gay. How did you know? They're only AdMech. Now, this is a rad cohort, as they have to be. We have a Tech Priest Dominus with Excoriating Emanation, another 2 Dominus without the enhancement, and then 2 Tech Priest Manipulus, 1 with the Omni Sterilizer. We have a 10-man Skitarii Vanguard unit. Dedicated transports, we have 5 of the Scorpius Dune Riders. Then we have 3 10-man Corpuscari Electro Priests, 2 10-man Fulgurite Electro Priests, 3 Iron Strider Ballastarii, 2 3-man units, a Scorpius Disintegrator, and a Calidus Assassin. Now, what stands out to me is that he's running a list which is a departure from the breaches that I saw him running at Moab this weekend gone, which were a really fantastic piece that had a bunch of anti-infantry 2+, I believe it was, on a gun that is still pretty good. So with all of the dedicated transports, I think the Electro Priests, both versions of them, the Corpuscari and the Fulgurite, are going to be all up in people's business.
Yes.
And it's not even that expensive a combo. No. You lose a Dune Rider and one of those units, you have cracked either 200 points or 190 points.
Yeah.
To get through that unit with an activation. That is a good trade piece.
It's 10% of your list.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's effectively it. It's 10%. And if you spend 400, 500 points of shooting to deal with that unit, that's an up trade. When you think about it in that perspective. Really interesting list. Lots of bodies, but it's got the key pieces in the Ballastarii and in the firepower in the Scorpius tanks. I think there was 1 in there from memory.
Yes, so I was actually going to mention that one, that is the most expensive thing in his list at 180 points, which is crazy. Especially somebody who rocks 6-man crisis units. That is criminal.
Yeah.
So 3 of the heavy stubbers, 1 Belarus energy cannon, and 1 disruptive missile launcher.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I'm not personally too familiar with AdMech in the current edition. But it's a very similar build to what I've spoken with Alex Ingleslos about.
I was actually going to mention, I'm pretty sure Chris has been picking his brain. So,
yes.
Yeah.
So it is one build that I had to drive some gear up to Sydney to get to Jack in Newcastle, and Alex was going to go see him. And I spent about 40 minutes chatting with him about stuff at his place, and just saying, talking about how AdMech, the boat build is generally like, if you can get it to work, it'll go off ham. But if you don't, you're potentially... it can be a one and done strat in that kind of method. So it's interesting to see that he hasn't put just everything in the boats, that he has got a lot of other tech pieces around it as well. And I think the points drops do allow for that for AdMech as well.
Yeah, which they definitely needed on top of that. On top of the change to the ScottyD. Now, he's only rocking 1 10-man, so obviously that buff wasn't enough that people are just jamming their lists with as many ScottyD as they can. But yeah, having those points cuts, I think, was pretty necessary because AdMech were also really hurting.
Yeah.
Really, really hurting before the update. And I still don't think that they're... Like, I don't think AdMech players are entirely happy with their index, even after points cuts, because the major problem with AdMech at the moment isn't actually in their points. It is kind of in their rules.
Yes.
So, really keen to see how Chris goes. I will also have, because he's a member of the Pantheon, I will also have some trolling to do on him, similar to Pat, where people are going to be bowing to him. I haven't decided what I'm going to do for Chris yet, but given the name of his list, it might get weird. It might get weird. Really keen to see how he goes. And Chris has been putting down some massive results. He's been playing up in NT, actually. I believe he has just been voted in as the NT state rep. So, interested to see how he does. Next list on the line is Lion's Little Angels.
Is this
now,
Damien's
I believe
list?
This will be Damien.
Right.
Now, we had Damien on for the stream that you hosted where I was chatting with Alex and him for the
40K Academy.
Unfortunately, 40K Academy, yes.
Yeah.
And we were having a great chat about it because he, with the Dark Angels changes in Ninth, came out swinging at a number of big events.
Yes.
So, Apothecary Biologist with Bolter Discipline again. He's got Azrael. He's got a Captain in Terminator armor with a Relic Shield and a Thunder Hammer and the Honor Vermin. Then a Primaris Apothecary with no other adjustments.
Yep.
He is rocking a Gladius Task Force.
Okay.
So he's not using the Dark Angels specific one.
Yeah.
6-man Aggressor Squad. I am shocked. He's got a unit of Deathwing Knights for 470 points. I thought I was paying a premium for a Crisis unit. My God. A quarter of your list, but it is a 10-man.
Yeah.
It has a Watcher in the Dark, Nightmaster, Flail of the Unforgiven, and then they're rocking 9 Mace of Absolution.
Yep, and the captain will be going in there 110%.
Yep. We have a 3-man Eliminator Squad. We have a 10-man Hellblaster Squad. Let's go.
Ooh.
2 Inceptors, rocking the Assault Bolters, not opting for the Plasmas on these ones. A 5-man Infiltrator Squad. Sorry, 2 5-man Infiltrator Squads. Yep. Both rocking the Helix Gauntlet and the Infiltrator Comms Array.
Not surprised.
Then we've got 2 5-man Scout Squads. One of them with just their base loadout, it looks like.
Yep.
The other one with a heavy bolter plugged into it on one.
Okay.
And then, you'll be shocked, mate, a Calidus Assassin.
So, all 3 lists we've looked at so far have taken a Calidus Assassin with that CP play.
Yep.
Which, isn't unanticipated, you could say.
Yeah.
So the double Infiltrator units are interesting. It means that he can be really aggressive with screening out the midfield. He can be semi-aggressive and semi-defensive, so he can put one in his deployment zone, one aggressively in no man's land. Or he can be super defensive and just fully screen you out. Now, the full screen out in his own deployment zone is going to be important in sated Gene Stealer cults. Particularly...
Oh, very much so.
So I've run a list previously where I did run 2 units of 5 Infiltrators. I can tell you that with 2 units of 5 Infiltrators, you can properly screen out a Dawn of War deployment zone in full with Infiltrators.
And what is he paying for that tech? 200 points.
Yes.
10% of your list to block off the entire goddamn board.
Yeah.
That is insane.
Yeah. So they can either completely screen out no man's land in full, or they can screen out their deployment zone and a decent amount of no man's land. Just with the way you've got to position them to get the 12 inches to the corners, it does mean you've got to sacrifice a bit of forward infiltration coverage.
Yep.
The captain into the, Terminators, I dare say we might see them in Deep Strike, because then the Infiltrators can jump, if he does screen midfield, you can potentially see them screen it out in such a way that then the Terminators can come down, The captain giving that reroll to charge distance for them just means they're going to
Oh,
go...
nasty. Yeah.
9-inch charge on a reroll is a lot better. I think it's like a 47% chance compared to, I think, a 35-ish% chance.
Yeah.
So it's a lot more reliable to do that out of Deep Strike. So... I like the list. I dare say Azrael and the Apothecary are both going to go in the Hellblasters, though. That's got to be where they go, because it gives... Because if you overcharge... Here's the tech, right? If you overcharge with the Hellblasters, if you fail the hazardous check, the model dies. The model gets to fire again on death.
Yes.
And so you can fire with hazardous again from that model. It's already dying, so it gets to fire again without penalty. Then use the Apothecary to bring one back.
Yeah.
And so the likelihood is, yes, you might lose maybe 1 to 2 a turn doing that. But you're getting that back from the Apothecary, and they're going to be incredibly tough because from memory, Azrael gives them a 4-up invo as well. So
yes.
That brick is probably going to be zoning out midfield because they're 24-inch range. I was looking at them the other day. 24-inch range, 2 shots, assault and heavy. So if they move up, they can move in advance to get into a good position and still shoot. If they stand still, they're hitting you on 2s.
Yeah.
So it makes hazardous. They're only non-hazardous. They're strength 7, neg 2, 1 damage. If they're hazardous, they're strength 8, neg 3, 2 damage. So you put hazardous with heavy, hitting on 2s, strength 8. Sure, they're going into vehicles, it's wounding on 5s, but it is what it is. And of course, you've got the now, it was Apothecary Biologus in the list as well with Bolter Discipline.
Yes, with Bolter Discipline.
Again, into the aggressors, pushing midfield to go, okay, cool, if you get into combat with me and I kill this, and I kill something with the Apothecary Biologus in the unit OC9 for that model, just really helps with objective control again.
Yep.
And it's a really tough unit to get through, being T6, 3 or 4 wounds apiece. Yeah, and I believe the Apothecary Biologus gives them something spicy. I can't remember if it's sustained hits or lethal hits off the top of my head, but it's something to that effect.
Yeah. And actually, interesting thing, and this will be a little piece for any of my Tau viewers that are watching. When you're dealing with the Hellblaster squad, because they can fire on death, you have to be very, very careful about what it is that kills them. The most effective thing I've actually found is a crisis unit, because fire and fade happens before the shoot on death, if it's my turn.
Yes,
because of the rules commentary. Yeah, choose sequencing of things that happen because the fire and fade stratagem says after you've finished resolving your attacks.
Yes.
So all of your attacks get resolved right away, which means that I then get to go, okay, I actually caught out a Dark Angels player doing this, who was using the Hellblasters, Azrael, and the Apothecary, and he was kind of like, oh no, I get to shoot you on death, and I'm like, no, it's not sequencing, and we even got the TO to come over, because he was a little bit newer, he wasn't familiar with the rare rules commentary, and he was like, yeah, no, 100%, and I'm like, that is exactly why this unit moved out, and now I moved 12 inches, I'm behind a building, and he's like, okay, I guess I'll shoot at a Crete Hound unit. And I was like that.
Ooh, there goes 40
so the
points.
crisis unit, picked up a full 10-man as well as the Apothecary. Azrael lived, unfortunately, but getting rid of that unit and having no repercussions was so incredible. For 2 CP, that was the most worth it thing that I could have done.
Yeah, 100%.
So yeah, really keen to see how Damien pilots this as well. There are some very similar pieces to Chris Wright.
Yeah.
But obviously, the big focus for me will be how he uses the Deathwing Knights.
Yes.
And getting value out of this quarter of your list sort of unit, which Damien is the sort of player that could. If this is on a newer player, this one is a dangerous pick because of how expensive it is. But yeah, really keen to see that. And you know what? Fingers crossed. We get Damien into Chris Wright. I would love to see the Marines versus Marines.
Oh, that'd be a really technical game to watch as well. It'd be really good.
Oh, hell yeah.
I'd love to see that matchup, personally.
Yep. All right, so moving on from the Lions Little Angels, we've got a CK Soup, Chaos Knights.
Ooh.
This is in the Traitorous Lance. We have a Knight Rampager, which looks like our only big boy, but he is actually rocking a big boy rather than just the walkers.
Yeah.
So, Reaper Chainsword and a Warp Strike Claw with the enhancement Panoply of the Cursed Knights. Then we've got a War Dog Stalker, which is the Warlord, Avenger Chain Cannon, Havoc Multi-Launcher, a Slaughter Claw, and then an enhancement for Aura of Terror, with a little star that says this datasheet also has the Battle Line keyword, which is an interesting one.
Yeah.
Then we've got 4 Brigands, all equipped exactly the same with an Avenger Chain Cannon, a Demon Breath Spear, and a Havoc Multi-Launcher. Then we have 4 Carnivores, all similarly equipped with a Havoc Multi-Launcher, Reaper Chain Talon, and a Slaughter Claw. Then allied units, we have a unit of 5 Fleshhounds and 2 units of Nurglings and a unit of Blue Scribes. Now, having played CSM, who were using similar things, not the Fleshhounds, but the Nurglings and the Blue Scribes, they are annoying as you can get, are really great for mission play, and the Blue Scribes having their lone op, I move within range of you and do mortal wounds, all that sort of stuff. They are something that you don't want to spend shooting on.
Yeah.
But that in certain instances you have to deal with.
Yeah. Yeah. Otherwise, they're just going to do too much damage to you if you leave them
basically
unchecked.
Yeah.
It's really interesting to see the big knights and 4 brigands. A lot of knight players, is what I'm seeing at the moment, is you're running 1 to 2 big knights, and then the rest is smaller knights. And then, you might tech into demons for some additional stuff if you want to. But more often than not, it's really interesting. I think from memory, it was the 3 big knights with the 4 small knights, from what you were saying.
Yeah. So moving to 1 big guy, and then just all of it. Like we've seen this a little bit with the walkers, and obviously Chaos Knights have some tools that Imperial Knights don't, where they can, I believe it's spend a CP, walk through walls.
Yes.
Which on big walkers is just, oh my god.
It's I was actually, there was someone in my Discord that did bring this up, or I was chatting with someone about it in a game that they were having. I actually think, because that's like a 1 or 2 CP strat, I think it might be a 1. Or it might depend on the size of the knight. That is, for something that big, it's a bit stupid. In my personal opinion, I think it actually breaks the game.
Right, okay.
I think it's a game breaker because, particularly in the terrain format we've discussed, you've got the bigger guys, and we've just had Slim Hogan in chat just confirm 1 CP for 2 of the War Dogs, or 1 for a big knight.
Right, so you're multi-targeting. And actually, Kyle in my chat just said the same thing.
Yeah.
So you're targeting 2 units who can walk through walls.
Yeah.
That makes staging, and I can kind of see why, and sorry if this steps on your point, but why they're kind of pummeling Imperial Knights. Imp Knights can't walk through walls.
No.
They stage and walk around like the big fat boys they are.
Yes, and Imperial Knights also lost their ability to give Bondsman abilities to the big knights, so now you can only give Bondsman abilities to the small knights, which factors into, the additional points increase as well, factors into their drop in the win rate. So it means that Imperial Knights, Chaos Knights being able to move through terrain, you add on top of that their dread zones for forcing battle shock and getting their additional buffs and everything with that dread range. It's massive when, and Slim Hogan's just hit on it, it's also in the movement phase or charge phase. So you could actually charge from behind a ruin and not give a damn. And that's where it's game breaking, because it's like, it pretty much means, cool, no matter what happens, some of my guys are going to be able to do what they want to do despite terrain. I think it's something that needs to be looked at. I think it should just be, if it's going to be, I think it should just be 2 CP. If I was to make a change to change that, because if this is the CP, if this is a stratagem that has such an impact on somebody's game, and it leaves them with a bad taste, and there have been people that I've spoken to that have felt bad, like, oh, this feels bad to play against Chaos Knights because of this strat. It means, okay, cool, you're on the other side of the building, I'm on the other side of this piece of terrain, you can't shoot me, you can't charge me because you can't see me. No, 1 CP, walk through walls. It's one of those, I honestly think it should go up to 2 CP.
And actually, because it's unless it's got a restriction that you can only use it once per turn, you can walk through walls in your movement phase and then charge through walls in your charge phase.
Yes.
And what perplexes me is that any of my battle suits have to spend 2 CP to fire and fade. Used to be 1 CP, and it went up, and yet this strat is sitting at 1 CP. It either needs to go up or Tau Fire and Fade needs to go down. 1 CP. G'd up, make it happen. So, like, so I'll be really interested to see how they do, because
see if it's a battle tactic stratagem. Because if it's a battle tactic stratagem, that is a prime target for the Calidus. Increase it to 2 CP. 100% you do it in that matchup. If it's a battle tactic, though,
I think you do as well. Yeah, if you've got effect ability, you absolutely want to use it on that.
Yeah.
I had Kyle in my chat just say it helps Chaos Knights with the issue of just being move blocked the whole game in terrain dense boards. And while I don't disagree, you get the same problem with Imperial Knights.
Yeah.
So. And you know, it's also, I guess, a point of if you go up against somebody that's teched into, you know, the pre-game moves and the moves to be able to move block you, that's a point of that player's list design and skill expression as well.
Yeah.
So I think it is an interesting one. Without getting too down into the weeds about game design, I think it is something that, you know, and Chaos Knights at the moment are sitting on, what did you say during the breakdown? They're in the 50 range?
Yeah, so Chaos Knights are actually sitting on 51% currently.
51%. Okay, so not being a Chaos Knights player, I can't attribute what keeps them at a 50%.
Yeah.
But if we're not seeing an abusive win rate, part of my brain goes, okay, well, there must be something else on data sheets or whatever else that is a balancing factor.
Yeah.
And maybe Imperial Knights got hit too hard because they don't have stuff like this to keep them in the game. But yeah.
So Slim Hogan in my chat just said they also don't have a great army, that great of an army rule, so it does help them. So that's where the balancing's occurring. I'd be interested to see when they get their codex how things land, but we're not expecting them to get their codex for the next 6 months minimum. They're not.
I didn't
in the
even see
roadmap.
Chaos Knights on the little the roadmap graphic. Yeah.
But why don't we move on to the last list?
Yeah, so we'll talk to Pete. Talk about Pete. Thousand Suns, test 1. He's testing at my GT. How dare you, Pete? So we have Ahriman, which is a must-take. Now, interestingly, not Ahriman on disc. Just walking, doing it himself, Ahriman.
I expect it. I've played against Thousand Suns in terms. I've got a little bit of an understanding about what's about to happen.
Okay. Exalted Sorcerer on Disc of Zinch with Lord of Forbidden Law.
Okay.
Which I believe that one is use a Cabal ritual for 0 points once per game.
Yes.
No. Sorry, you can use a Cabal ritual somebody else has already used.
Yeah. That one's.
I'll double check my stuff.
Likely, yeah.
Yep. Infernal Master, Magnus the Red, because got to take the big boy. Thousand Sun Sorcerer with the Athenaean Scrolls, and Thousand Sun Sorcerer with Arcane Vortex. Now, I believe Arcane Vortex is additional damage and strength to your weapons, your psychic weapons.
I believe so, but it's only that model.
Only that model, yes. Does not affect a unit that they're attached to.
Yeah.
The Athenaean Scrolls, one of these is use a ritual that your opponent's already used, and the other one is the teleport once per game.
Yeah.
Actually, I might have that wrong. I think it's a crystal or something.
Yeah, the Umbrella Crystal is the once per game teleport.
Yeah, so I'll look those up once I get further into it. So we're seeing a 10-man rubric unit with Warp Flamers. We're seeing then 2 more 5-man unit with... So he has opted in the 10-man not to take Soul Reaper cannons. But in the 5-mans, he's got the Soul Reaper and then he's got Warp Flamers. Yeah. And that is for the next 3 units of rubrics. So we're seeing 25 rubric Marines being placed on the table.
Yeah.
We've then got a Thousand Suns Rhino. We've got double Mutalith Vortex Beasts and a unit of Sangor Enlightens.
Yep. Okay. That's the list?
That is the list. Very character heavy, very rubric heavy.
So, first up, Ahriman on foot goes with the rubrics with Flamers going in the Rhino. The idea is that you fling that up the board, you disembark, You then use your Cabal points to turn off the armor saves of the unit, and you hit them with 10d6 shots with those flamers. Straight up. Ahriman's +1 to wound really comes in clutch with them. And we also had Joyless Cupid and Slim Hogan in chat saying Ahriman does once per game for free. As well, the scrolls...
That is the one I was thinking of.
Yeah. The scrolls give you +1 Cabal points, and the Forbidden Law gives you a double up on a Cabal per turn.
Okay, excellent. Now, so that would be the scrolls was the one that I wasn't taking in my one sort of furlough into Thousand Suns. That was the one I wasn't familiar with. But yeah, so he's got a lot of different tech pieces. Obviously, going into the rubrics makes sense with the hit the Terminators took.
Yes.
You either... I've seen a lot of lists that either go, like, drop Magnus and go heavy into Terminators, or keep him and go rubrics, or drop Magnus and just go full on into rubrics, like as many as you can get in. Now, the thing that I want to talk about is the Mutiliths, because these, for certain Thousand Sun players that I've talked about, it's a love or hate relationship with these two. Personally, I love them. I think they are fantastic.
I think they are a must-take, in my personal opinion, because they are the only way outside of combat or the Scarab Occult Terminators that you can get reliable anti-tank. When you're looking at vehicles that are between toughness 9 and toughness 12, some even toughness 13 on the board, it's actually, you're needing that strength 12 shooting. You really do need it to deal with what I consider to be a monster in vehicle heavy meta at the moment. Even though it's starting to transition away from that because army builds are taking into dealing with that as the meta constantly ebbs and flows in that regard. I think, having two of them is great. Magnus is a great pick. He's really tough to deal with as well. He's got the aggression.
Also the best use of the out of line of sight strat because he just goes, cool, I don't need to see you. I'm on the other side of the wall, big as I am. Bang, here is my massive 2 psychic attacks.
Yep, effectively. Ahriman in the Rhino, I've played against that combo when you combine it with turning off saves and the +1 to wound and that volume of shots, it'll delete anything it sees. Basically.
Yeah. And like looking at Mutiliths, these things are basically what my Hammerheads wish they were. Because you can keep these in your list, and no matter what meta you're going into, you have a torrent ability, you have a blast ability, and you have a las cannon. It just... I cannot believe that these things are still only 165 points.
So, to put that in perspective, that is 35 points more than a Predator Annihilator for the 3 las cannons, with more versatility.
With, 15 attacks for the sweep, 5 attacks for the main strike profile, and at the end of your movement phase, everything within 6 inches of you takes mortals.
Yep.
How is this thing 165 points?
That's why, in my opinion, it's a must-take.
Yep. And now, it doesn't contribute to your Cabal point generation, which is, I guess, something that Peter's considered with taking the scrolls so that he's got that additional Cabal point coming in. That is fair enough. I'm keen to see how it goes. He's been having a lot of success on his tier sides. And he's been beating some good players with them even after the nerfs.
Yeah. Just had Junos, one of my mods in chat. Doesn't matter how many points it is if no one can buy one.
That's GW's balancing. Just no production whatsoever.
That's one really underhanded way to do some balancing, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, the Mutilith suffers from also being an AOS model. So you have 2 different interested parties that are trying to buy it up. And GW have not been great with their supply, even just for single game sort of models. But yeah, so I'm really keen to see like all 5 of these players. And I'll say now, I should have said at the start, not exhaustive. Scotty put a gun to my head and said, pick 5 lists, and you're declaring these 5 people as your favorites.
No, it wasn't favorites. It's just interesting ones to look at.
I'm 100% just taking a cheeky step. But we didn't talk about Alex Englezos, Brody Middleton. We did get a chance to talk about a bunch of people. I'm trying to furiously look for names. People that will definitely be in contention for some of the best players at our events. So we can't get through everybody. Unfortunately, we've probably even gone over time now.
Yes,
but
which is fine.
One thing I can say is that looking at this lineup, it is exactly what I, as the organizer of this event, wanted,
Yeah.
where I am looking at a Shark Tank, which is going to be extremely competitive.
I agree.
Which is what I love.
Much
it's
agree.
exactly what I wanted.
Yeah, it's going to be a great event. I'm super stoked to be there in person. It's gonna be great. So, you know, if you see me furiously setting up round 1, probably don't come over and have a chat with me. But and like after round 3 or at lunchtime during day 2, or even if I'm packing up during day 2, feel free to come and have a chat. Always love chatting with people in the community, hearing your feedback on the streams and stuff as well. I'm really excited. We're actually doing something that I've been meant to be doing all year, but I haven't had a chance to. My subs for day 1 actually get to vote on what factions they want to see. So we've got that set up on the Discord. So if you aren't, if you've got a free Prime sub, and you want to sling it our way, cost you nothing. You can use that and jump into the Discord and connect. Most importantly, connect your Twitch to your account to Discord, or Discord to your Twitch account, and it'll do the server roles, and you'll be able to get access to that section where you can mention up what faction you would like to see on stream during day 1. But it's going to be really solid. I'm really looking forward to the event, Jay. I'm really pumped.
Yeah, so am I. And for everybody that's going to be watching through Scotty's stream, we are going to be having a code that is going to be put into Scotty's chat periodically, where you are going to be able to get free shipping from Irresistible Force within Australia to anything that you would like to buy from them as our headline sponsor. It is going to be an incredible event. We will also be having, as I said before, previous in the stream, a raffle which is open to people not only at the event, but all of you viewers at home. So if you haven't already, make sure you follow Scotty. Make sure that you throw him a sub. The Prime is the best way to do it. But also, if you're enjoying the stream and you want to see more 40Ks streamed, give some subs. Get other people in on there. Let everybody experience what it's like being in that incredible Discord. So, mate, I will have to run as I'm getting I'm getting the playing me off music from the wife. So I'll have to go. But but mate, it is an absolute pleasure talking to you again. I really love doing these streams.
No worries at all. Thank you so much for jumping on. Quick shout outs. Go for it.
All right, so shout out to Alex Englezos, who helped me set up all of my packs, all of my members of the Pantheon, and I will also bring up, before we get out of here for my shameless plugging, all of my patrons who make all of my videos possible. They are incredible. If you would like to get access to my Discord, you can either become a YouTube member down below, or you can go to Patreon if that's your thing. But all of the tiers are basically exactly the same. You get access to the Discord as well as a bunch of other stuff. People in the Chassot tier also get once per month a free coaching or list building session, as well as a monthly, basically we're calling it the Celestial Cast Address, where we jump in Discord and we get to just chat about any and everything that they want to chat about. Now, why is that showing that? That shouldn't be that one. Let's go that. Okay, let's just close that because that's there we go. That is all of my patrons on screen now. Thank you very much to all of them. And I am so keen to see you in a week, Scotty, so that we can get this event moving. There is so much prize support going into it. I am nervous as you could be, but also really looking forward to it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, as you know, Australia's Tabletop Wargaming Network will be at the event. I know Jay's going to share around the socials as well, so it won't take too much time for that. But I thank everyone for joining us. Thank you, Jay, for your time once again. Keen to hang out with you on the weekend as we jump into some competitive 40K action for this event. I'm really pumped. Thank you to everyone that is watching us both on the Pantheon Studios YouTube and on the Australia's Tabletop Wargaming Network Twitch. This will be up on our respective YouTube channels this week as well. But ladies and gentlemen, I've been ScottyD. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll catch you next time.
See you, everybody.